The 49ers, they did make a statement against Tua and the Dolphins. But
Yeah.
Jimmy G is likely done for this season with a broken foot.
Brutal.
He's probably going to need surgery.
Yeah.
This means San Francisco has lost two starting quarterbacks this season. However, 2022 Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy looked great in relief. Meanwhile, Tua aggravated a lingering ankle injury as he struggled against the San Francisco defensive line.
Yep.
What happens to San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
and Miami from here? Should San Francisco get Fitzpatrick or Drew Brees?
Or Baker Mayfield. Well, listen, Drew Brees, no.
I thought he was done.
He is done.
Yeah.
And Fitzpatrick, no. Listen, Brock Purdy yesterday played really well.
Right.
And I mean, the guy was a good college player. Now, he was the final pick of his draft. He was Mr. Irrelevant, is what they always call the guy who was picked last in his draft. So I will give him the opportunity to show he can do something. The odds are he's going to be very limited. The Niners are so good everywhere else, though, that you've got to consider them I still consider them strong contenders in the NFC. The question is, can they have a quarterback, not who's going to make a ton of plays, but isn't going to make a lot of mistakes? The Baker thing is interesting. They just signed off the Broncos practice squad Josh Johnson. This is his 14th different stop in the NFL. He's been, now some of the teams, he's been on the Niners 3 times, but he's been changed teams 14 times in the league. They're on their 3rd string quarterback. Does Kyle Shanahan? Now, the way waivers work is you claim him, you claim his contract, but it's reverse order. It's the same order as the draft order. So, like, if the Texans were to want Baker Mayfield, they would get him. They would claim him. Do you understand what I mean? Like, so if a guy gets cut at this point in the career,
teams have to pass up on him in order for San Francisco.
Exactly right. So the Eagles would have the last waiver priority because they have the best record. The Texans have the best, and the Niners have a pretty damn good record. So I don't have in front of me, but 25 teams would have to pass on something like that. But I don't think that now the Texans are an interesting one because they don't have a quarterback, but do they even want to be in the Baker Mayfield business? I don't know the answer to that. The Niners are in a very tricky spot. I would put a claim in on Baker if I were them. If nothing else, then to be the backup and see what Purdy does. The Niners, though, that defense is so god-dog good. That defense they gave up a 75-yard touchdown first play of the game and then just shut the Dolphins down. Even though Tyreek still got off.
Right.
And then we get to the Tua stuff.
I know you can't wait to jump on this one.
Well, everybody was very, very quick to demand that Tua get apologies from everyone that doubted him. I want to see how the remainder of the year goes. Weather's about to get colder. That'll be interesting. Schedule's not going to get very soft for them. That'll be interesting. So Miami, if we want to go over what they have the rest of the way as they sit at 8-5, they are at the Chargers on Sunday Night Football next weekend. The Chargers can't get out of their own damn way. They're still a dangerous team. They are then at the Bills. They are then home for the Packers. They are then at the Patriots and home for the Jets. So the easiest game the rest of the way is home for the Packers. For Miami, the Packers all of a sudden, by the way, Christian Watson, that kid's got 8 touchdowns the last 4 games. There are some obvious limitations that Tua has that, to me, showed up glaringly yesterday. Now, to be fair, Miami was without both of their starting tackles. You're playing a ferocious defense. I believe the best defense in football in San Francisco. And that's why San Francisco, almost no matter who the quarterback is, you still have to consider dangerous. They have a top 3 running back. They have all-pro, first-team all-pro running back, wide receiver, tight end, left tackle, and the best defense in football. And a great coach, I feel. So the question is, how big of a drop is it from Jimmy G to Brock Purdy? But this, by the way, Brock Purdy playing well for them would be such a blow for the quarterback wins dopes. The folks are like, wins are a quarterback stat. That's how they're all that foolishness that has become, and I shouldn't say dopes because some of my favorite people in the media believe this, most notably my co-host Chris Broussard. But they're obviously wrong about that. And I'm very curious to see what the Niners look like with just a guy playing quarterback.
Just a guy.
Yeah, with Brock Purdy. He was their third stringer to start the year. He was the 262nd pick or whatever it was, 252nd pick of his draft. And Miami, on the other hand, this is the time where things could go south for them. It absolutely, they 100%. What do you think the line is?
Bad for these guys, man.
For who? Tell me. Why?
For Miami, it's just like everybody's saying, oh, it's Tua's got limitations. He's got limitations. And he's been playing well for a while now. And then like when it starts to come, they're like, oh, yep, I told you.
But yeah.
It's just like obvious.
Listen, that's fair.
We're eventually going to have a bad game.
That's totally fair. It is totally fair to say that's the first game all year he has played the whole way through and they've lost, right? So that is a fair critique. And that I am basing this analysis on my prior beliefs on him. But those prior beliefs on him, I feel very strongly about. And I do think that if you're Miami and you caught people off guard early in the year, okay?
Right.
You beat the Patriots, whose offense you scored 7 points. You have that unbelievable game against the Ravens, where you're thoroughly outplayed for 3 quarters and then a perfect fourth quarter. You then have that very weird game against the Bills, where the Bills double you up in yardage, but Josh Allen keeps screwing up the clock and goal line. Okay. Since then, this is what they have done. They lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Vikings. They beat those are the games without Tua.
Yeah, okay.
Those are the games without Tua. So then Tua's back. Here are their wins. They beat the Steelers 16-10. They beat the Lions. They beat the Bears. They beat the Browns. They beat the Texans. So now, with a full season's worth of tape of what you're doing on offense, you play real teams again.
I see the pattern.
And one of those real teams just kicked your teeth in. And so I'm interested to watch where this goes for Miami moving forward. Just like the team right now that, and I don't mean to step on the rest of the show, I'll just do this quickly. If I were a fan of them, I would be up at night, just like, you've got to be kidding me about so many of our losses. The Raiders, who are sitting at 5-7 and have to feel like if we had one of those games we gave away, the Cardinals game, which they flatly gave away, the Chiefs game, which they had multiple chances to win and they didn't. If they had the Jags game that they gave away, if they had won one of those games and they were 6-6, right now they got to feel like they have to run the table. Now, as far as running the table goes, they're not going to run the table, but they have the Rams on Thursday. They then have the Patriots at home the next Sunday night, then the Steelers. The Raiders could, before they play the Niners and the Chiefs at the end of the year. That's brutal. The Raiders, I think, are going to finish game or two out and feel like, God dog it, we should have been right there.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.